Hi, my name is Carrie Webb. I serve with the YWAM Europe Member Care Resource Team, and I'm here to talk about member care because what is it? How do we do it? How do we define it? To help us understand member care, there's a few different definitions. One comes from the Africa Member Care Network, which says that member care is to help missionaries grow and thrive where they don't belong. Another definition comes from Bruce Swanson, and he defines it as the formal and informal efforts to develop, preserve, and restore kingdom workers for effective service. And lastly, YWAM Europe MCRT, which we call the Member Care Resource Team, our view of member care also includes helping YWAMers be healthy, resilient, and effective. That they are healthy because they have value as children of God. They are resilient. They can recover and adapt to the changes that we experience through the many transitions, the different seasons of busyness and quiet, that they are able to be resilient through these things and effective in their service, that they can feel like they're actually living with purpose, with meaning. They're able to do what they feel God is asking them to do. So these definitions really capture our heart for member care. So whose job is member care? Is it just the member care providers, those who have been trained specifically in member care? No, actually, it is all of our responsibility to care for each other and for ourselves. And honestly, there's not a YWAM community that doesn't do some sort of member care. It may not be a formal calling it member care, but when we have those policies where you have to have health insurance or one-on-ones, pastoral visits on DTS outreaches, these things are actually practices of member care, of helping steward our people and our teams and our communities. Now, we as YWAM Europe MCRT, we do have a model of member care that we believe helps cover a broad spectrum of the needs that we face in our lives. In this model of member care, we call the 7 S's because, of course, we love a good alliteration. We view this model of member care as both biblically based and culturally neutral because of its emphasis on kingdom values. We see these first 3 layers, Savior, self, and staff, which could also be called mutual care. It's the care of one another. These first 3 is basically the commandment that Jesus said was the highest commandment, which was to love the Lord your God with all your heart, your mind, and soul, and to love your neighbor as yourself, which means there has to be care that we receive from the Lord, that we receive from ourselves, and we receive from each other. And then from there, we build on more and more dynamics of care. So let's just break down this model layer by layer. Of course, our foundation and first resource of care is our Savior. All other aspects of member care come out of this place. And so we need that vibrant daily walk that is personal and relevant and intimate, where we can be completely honest and authentic with God, with our gratitude and love and praise, of course, but also with our disappointments, our confusion, our grief, and our hope that gets lost sometimes. Our next layer is self-care. And self-care is really the stewarding of the personhood that God has trusted you with, the holistic care of self. That means that we take care of our physical, spiritual, emotional, mental, social, financial health, that ultimately we are responsible for our development and our growth. So caring for ourselves and others is not an either or option. It is both. What does self-care actually look like practically? I think it looks like identifying what your needs are and prayerfully make a plan to how to care for them. That you're creating space, that you're able to check in with yourself to see how you're actually coping, that you're getting debriefs and taking holidays, that you're practicing the Sabbath, that you're actually giving yourself a day of rest, that you're managing stress, managing expectations. So self-care, it's really taking care of ourselves, doing what we need to do to make sure we can go longer. The next layer is staff care. And the heart of staff care is really the many, many scriptures in the New Testament about how we treat one another, how to care for one another, letting our love be without hypocrisy, being slow to speak and quick to listen, bearing one another's burdens. Because life is busy and we are doing things that are important, it's not always easy to be aware of each other. So, taking time to observe and engage with peers, with other leaders, with friends, people who keep you accountable, creating opportunities within your YWAM community for people to get to be connected, having fun outings or praying and hearing the Lord for each other or celebrating each other's cultures or birthdays. All of these things can help people feel like they belong and that they're cared for. Our next one is shepherd care. So shepherd care is the care that staff receive from you, their leader. And it's important to note that there are three foundational levels of care before we get to shepherd care. And really, the biblical images of leadership, or actually Jesus's image of leadership, kind of boils down to shepherd, servant, and steward. So we can really see the characteristics of care from our leaders through these categories of shepherd, servant, steward. And these characteristics basically look like someone that's available, that is interruptible and approachable, that's not too intimidating, but walks in that humility that actually invites people, that's accountable to someone. I remember as a leader, I was always amazed that people were choosing to risk moving their lives to come under my leadership. And I wanted to honor that choice, that risk. I wanted to make sure they knew how appreciative I was that they took that risk, and I was going to risk trusting them as well. So risking trust, appreciating their effort and their work, seeing the potential and calling it out in them. Also under leader care is this awareness of the overall health of the team and individuals, how people are faring. Even if you're not strong in that, that you staff those weaknesses, that you get other leaders that can be kind of more pastoral and be aware of what's happening, the health of the team, the pulse of the team. Good shepherd care also involves knowing what your people can handle, knowing their strengths and their weaknesses, and just being aware that if you're putting someone in a role that requires them to operate in their weakness, it's going to cost them more energy. And lastly, what we can expect from shepherd care, from leaders, is that they will ask for help when help is needed. So this might be involving elders or mediators or getting crisis debriefers in, whatever it might be for that specific situation. Moving on, the next layer in our model of member care is structure care. And structure care is the formalized care that comes with team-based community life. We have two different types. We have community structures and we have practical structures. So community structures are those team building times where you have people coming in to give input into your team, when you do any kind of skills training or teachings, when you have love feasts, fellowship times, corporate worship and intercession times. These are all community structures to help people function well. The practical structures are policies and procedures. And policies and procedures should really be specific things to help keep your community safe. These are law abiding, so you're compliant with the law, like having health insurance, liability coverage, child safeguarding policies, etc. Also in practical structures are the expectation of furloughs and holidays, having contingency planning and risk assessments. The goal of structure care is to be a flexible and adaptable, safe structure that can outlast the current team and is built into the DNA of the base. So a structure can change and adapt, but it will never change its foundational core values. This is when we can look at, when we do evaluations, are there things that are actually, they used to serve us, but now they no longer, they actually hinder us. How do we remove those? What do we want to replace it with? So structured care health and growth comes out of those times of appraisals and evaluations and getting honest feedback from your staff, from students to see how you can continue well or better. The next one is our sender support care. And sender support care is the care that we receive from our friends, family, home church, all those people that are back in our home community. These outside supporters help provide finances, prayer coverage, encouragement, practical needs, and they can be an advocate for you. So we need to not only invest in our relationships, but we need to encourage our staff to keep good connections and investing in those relationships with the people who are praying for them, who are financially giving to them. And then our last level, our top level, which really comes as needed, is specialist care. And this is care from people inside or outside of your team that are trained in specific areas, like a debriefer or a therapist, a lawyer, a mediator, a life coach, a spiritual director, a crisis response team, a trauma-informed care. And specialist care typically will not be an everyday need, but that is part of the role of the YWAM Europe MCRT. We are here to help connect staff and leaders to specialist care as they need. So that's the 7 S's of member care in a nutshell. And as you can see, it really does cover a broad spectrum of care for all the unique needs that we experience as missionaries living a cross-cultural life. So I hope that this has helped you understand a bit more about how we see member care, as well as each of our role in member care. And I just want to end by reminding you that we, as the YWAM Europe Member Care Resource Team, we are available to you as well. So thanks for watching. And if you want to get connected with us, you can email us or find us on Facebook or Instagram.